What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of History Behind the Horror. I'm your host, Tan. For tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about Mount Massive Asylum from Outlast. It's been a very long time since we actually talked about anything Outlast related, and there are rumors going around that Outlast 3 is currently in development, so I thought I'll go ahead and do a pretty much like a recap video of what happened in Outlast, and then also a future video happens in Outlast 2, telling you guys what Mount Massive Asylum is, what happened to Wayland Park, what happened to Miles Upshur, and giving you guys little extra info in between to give you guys a better understanding of what's going on between these walls in this psychiatric hospital. So if you guys do enjoy this video and you would love to see more stuff like this in the near future, make sure you guys please like and share the video. It does help this channel out a lot, and put in the comments for whatever episode you would like to see next. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight, and I will see you all at the end of the video. In Outlast, the player assumes the role of investigative journalist Miles Upshur as he navigates a psychiatric hospital in Leadville, Colorado that is overrun by homicidal patients. Psychiatric hospitals, also known as mental hospitals, mental health units, mental asylums, or simply asylums, are hospitals or wards specializing in the treatment of serious mental disorders such as major depressive disorder, schizophrenia, and bipolar disorder. Psychiatric hospitals vary widely in their size and grading. Some hospitals may specialize only in short-term or outpatient therapy for low-risk patients. Others may specialize in the temporary or permanent care of residents who, as a result of psychological disorder, require routine assistance, treatment, or specialized and controlled environments. Patients are often admitted on a voluntary basis, but people whom psychiatrists believe may pose a significant danger to themselves or others may be subject to involuntary commitment. Psychiatric hospitals may also be referred to as psychiatric wards or units, or psych wards/units when they are subunit of a regular hospital. The game is played from a first-person perspective and features some stealth gameplay mechanics. The player can walk, run, crouch, jump, climb ladders, and vote over objects. Unlike most games, however, the player does not have a visible health bar on the screen and is unable to attack enemies. The player must instead rely on stealth tactics such as hiding in lockers, sneaking past enemies, staying in the shadows, and hiding behind or under things in order to survive. Alternatively, the player can attempt to outrun their pursuer. If the player dies, the game will reset to the most recent checkpoint. Most of the hospital is unlit, and the only way the player can see while in the dark is through the lens of a camcorder equipped with night vision. Using the night vision mode will slowly consume batteries, forcing the player to scavenge for additional batteries found throughout the building. Outlast makes heavy use of traditional jump scares and audio cues which alert the player if an enemy has seen them. If the player records specific events while their camcorder is out, Miles will write down a note about it, providing further insight into his thoughts. Documents can be collected which offer backstory and other supplementary information about the hospital. Developer Red Barrels have pointed to the survival-focused gameplay in Amnesia: The Dark Descent as a primary influence on the combat-free narrative style of Outlast. Found footage horror films like Wreck also served as influences.
You have to get the fuck out of this terrible place.
Freelance investigative journalist Miles Upshur receives an anonymous email that inhumane experiments are being conducted at Mount Massive Asylum, a private psychiatric hospital owned by notoriously unethical Murkoff Corporation. Upon entering, Miles is shocked to discover its halls ransacked and littered with the mutilated corpses of the staff. He is informed by a dying officer to Murkoff's Corporation military unit that Mount Massive Asylum's deranged inmates, known as variants, have escaped and are freely roaming the grounds, butchering Murkoff's employees. The officer implores him to leave, but Miles finds he cannot return the way he came and must press on. As Miles searches for an exit, he is ambushed by a hulking variant named Chris Walker, who hurls him through a window into the lobby, knocking him unconscious. While incapacitated, Miles encounters Father Martin, a self-anointed priest with schizopersonality disorder, who claims Miles as his apostle and sabotages his escape by cutting off the power to the front doors. Schizopersonality disorder, or schizo disorder, is a mental disorder characterized by severe social anxiety, thought disorder, paranoid ideation, derealization, and often unconventional beliefs. People with this disorder feel extremely discomfort when maintaining close relationships with people, mainly because they think that their peers harbor negative thoughts towards them, so they avoid forming them. Peculiar speech mannerisms and odd modes of dress are also symptoms of this disorder. Those with STPD may react oddly in conversations, not respond or talk to themselves. They frequently interpret situations as being strange or having unusual meaning for them. Paranormal and superstitious beliefs are common. Such people frequently seek medical attention for anxiety or depression instead of their personality disorder. Schizopersonality disorder occurs in approximately 3% of the general population and is more common in males. Miles restores power, but Father Martin injects him with an anesthetic. He shows Miles footage of the Wall Rider, an entity killing doctors, patients, and soldiers alike, which he claims is responsible for the asylum's ransacking. Regaining consciousness, Miles finds himself trapped in a decaying cell block filled with demented patients. He escapes through the sewers to the main wards, pursued by Walker and two cannibalistic twins, only to be captured by Rick Traeger, a former Murkoff executive driven insane like the other inmates. Cannibalism involves consuming all or a part of another individual of the same species as food. To consume the same species or show cannibalistic behavior is a common ecological interaction in the animal kingdom and has been recorded in more than 1,500 species. Human cannibalism is well documented both in ancient and in recent times. Human cannibalism is the act or practice of humans eating the flesh or internal organs of other human beings. A person who practices cannibalism is called a cannibal. The expression cannibalism has been extended into zoology to mean one individual of a species consuming part or all of another individual of the same species as food, including sexual cannibalism. Some scholars have argued, however, that no firm evidence exists that cannibalism has ever been a socially accepted practice anywhere in the world at any time in history. Traeger straps Miles to a wheelchair and amputates two of his fingers with a pair of bone shears, preparing to do the same to his tongue and genitals. However, Miles escapes Traeger and flees to the elevator, inadvertently crushing Traeger between floors when he attacks him. Miles ventures further into the hospital and reconvenes with Father Martin, who tells him to go to the asylum's chapel. Reaching the auditorium, Miles learns that the Wall Rider was created by Dr. Rudolf Gustav Warnick, a German scientist brought to the United States during Operation Paperclip. Operation Paperclip was a secret program of the Joint Intelligence Objectives Agency, largely carried out by special agents of Army CIC, in which more than 1,600 German scientists, engineers, and technicians such as Werner and his V-2 rocket team were taken from Germany to America for US government employment, primarily between 1945 and 1959. Many were former members and some were former leaders of the Nazi Party. Warnick believed that intensive dream therapy conducted on traumatized patients could connect swarms of nanites into a single malevolent being. Miles finds Father Martin crucified in the chapel, who gives Miles a key to the atrium elevator that he insists will take him to freedom before setting himself on fire. Miles takes the elevator, which descends into a laboratory. Walker attacks him, only to be killed by the Wall Rider. Miles locates an aged Warnick, who confirms that the Wall Rider is a biotechnological nanite entity controlled by Billy Hope, a comatose subject of Murkoff's experiments. He orders Miles to terminate Billy Hope's life support in hopes that this will destroy the Wall Rider. Miles accomplishes this task, however, just before Billy dies, the Wall Rider attacks Miles and possesses his body. On the way out of the laboratory, Miles encounters a private military team led by Warnick, which guns him down. A horrified Warnick realizes that Miles is the Wall Rider's new host. Panic screams and gunfire are heard as the screen fades to black.
You have to get the fuck out of this terrible place.
William Park is a software engineer working at Mount Massive Asylum for Murkoff. His job entails maintaining the morphogenic engine, which controls lucid dreaming in comatose individuals. After several experiences working directly with the engine and witnessing its effects on the facility's patients, he sends an anonymous email to reporter Miles Upshur to expose the corporation. Shortly afterwards, Park is summoned to the Underground Lab's Operations Center to debug a monitoring system. When he returns to his laptop, his supervisor, Jeremy Blair, has him detained and subject to the morphogenic engine after discovering his email. However, when the Wall Rider is unleashed, which leads to the events of the main story, Park escapes and takes a camcorder. He roams the increasingly decrepit facility as surviving guards and medical personnel try to evade the newly freed patients, searching for a shortwave radio that can be used to contact the authorities, all the while eluding a cannibal named Frank Manera, who wields an electric bone saw. Just as Park manages to find a working radio transmitter, Blair appears and subdues him, destroying the transmitter and leaving Park to die. Park finds his way into the asylum's vocational block where he is chased by Eddie, a serial killer obsessed with finding the perfect bride by killing other patients and mutilating their genitalia. Eddie captures Park and tries to hang him in a gymnasium with his other victims, but during the struggle, he becomes entangled in his own pulley system and impaled by a loose section of rebar.
You could have been beautiful.
At daybreak, Murkoff's military division arrives at the asylum, intent on eliminating the variants. Park slips past them and escapes into the main lobby. There he finds a gravely wounded Blair, who stabs him suddenly, insisting that no one can know the truth about Mount Massive, but the wall rider kills him before he can finish Park off. Park then stumbles out of the open front door and towards Miles Upshore's Jeep, which is still idling near the main gates. He takes the Jeep and drives away as Miles, now the Wall Rider's host, also emerges from the asylum. In the epilogue, Park is sitting at a laptop with the videos ready for upload to expose the Murkoff Corporation. An associate informs him that it will be more than enough to ruin Murkoff, but is warned that they will seek to eliminate him and his family. Despite some initial hesitation, Park decides to upload the files. And that ends yet another episode of History Behind the Horror. If you enjoyed yourself here tonight and you would love to see more videos like this in the near future, please remember to like the video and share it. It does help this channel out a lot. And make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, because we got things coming up soon that I'm sure you wouldn't want to miss. And make sure you hit the bell notification if you haven't already, so you stay up to date when a new episode is available. And also remember to put in the comment section for any other episodes you would love to see here on History Behind the Horror. With that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight, and as always, if you're not too scared, I will see you on the next episode of History Behind the Horror.